Welcome, Unsecurity Podcast listeners. This is episode 149, and the date is October 5th, 2021. It is National Cyber Awareness Month. Is that right, Brad?
I believe so.
Do you feel cyber aware?
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes cyber aware, sometimes not. Well, and yesterday we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention it, but Facebook was down,
Right.
so was Instagram and all the related properties. That was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like some sort of BGP issue where their routes got withdrawn from the internet. Whoops.
Yeah. Well, and I think for 7 hours while they were down, the world was a better place.
Yeah. You know, I don't have it. Never have. So to me, it was just
Yeah.
amusing.
I made I made a remark that thousands of marriages just got better or just collapsed. You know, instantly.
Yeah.
You pick your head up and you look around and you're like, oh hey, how long have you been here? It's
Right.
like 5 years. Oh, good to see you again. And then I had other people like, what's a good alternative to Facebook? And I was like, well, real life,
Yeah.
a walk, a hobby, uh, exercise, coffee with a friend. There's lots of alternatives to
Yep.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Telephones.
Spend time with your family as if we
Uh,
haven't had enough the last 20 months.
yeah. I mean, does anybody actually think that they have too much time with their family? Have you heard anybody ever say that?
No, I will say that, after the last 20 months, it's nice to have a break every now and then, but I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed spending that much time.
Well, it seems like the overwhelming majority of us don't get enough time
Hmm.
with our families.
Yeah.
You start to lose track of what truly matters in life,
Yep.
right? And that's the people around you, the people that mean the most to you. It's not the next gadget. Who gives a
Right.
crap about that, or should?
Yeah.
So, yeah, National Cyber Awareness Month. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what we're doing, some of the initiatives we're doing either at FRSecure or Security Studio or some of our customers. What are you hearing on the streets, man?
Uh, you know, it's interesting. I've actually had a lot more conversations around like awareness training. Some of the departments within the state of Minnesota, for example, have reached out for, hey, how do we get some training? Uh, Customers just asking about it. So I think people are being more aware, um, which is great.
Yeah. So in the state of Minnesota, departments in the state of Minnesota are reaching out to you.
Hmm.
That's
I'm not
cool.
gonna I'm not gonna say anything about which ones, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, we should talk offline about that
Yep.
because I want to meet up with the stuff that we're doing, meet up with what you're doing, and that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very awesome that you know he didn't say who, but he goes, you guys came highly recommended. So it's like, oh, well, cool.
That's good. Yeah. Uh, well, so some of the things that I was just on a phone call this morning prior to this us meeting here for the podcast with a company out east that's always been a little bit kind of a trailblazer, uh, and they're using the S2me. So for the listeners who don't know what S2me is, it's a personal information security risk assessment tool. It's free.
It's
It'll always be free. Uh, but it's
it's really
meant
good.
to help. Yeah, man, it's meant to help people understand what their own risks are at home.
Right. Well, and I mean, we've briefly touched on it in the past, but I've had people come up after you spoke to them at a school district and say, I never thought of these things. This is amazing. So
That's cool,
it
man.
does, it changes how people think, which is, it is important.
Well, right. I mean, the thing that we've preached before and we'll preach it again is uh, you're the CEO of your own home, right?
Hmm.
Nobody is responsible for your information security at home. You are,
Right.
right? So if you don't step up and you become a victim of, a cyber crime or God forbid one of your children gets preyed upon because you weren't paying attention. I mean, stuff still happens, right? So you can't beat yourself up about it, but the basic precautions, that's what you need to understand and apply,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. And, I think you guys, the security studio has done a good job with some of the gamification and the, hey, you get these badges, that type of thing. But what's really cool is you can track your progress over time, right? So you go do it the first time. Maybe you realize that, oh, I'm not doing half of the things that I should be. Well,
Hmm.
now you at least have a roadmap of like an idea of what you should be doing. Get started on it and see
Hmm.
how if you can improve yourself.
Yeah, and in some cases you may decide to just not to take the advice, right? That's what risk management is,
Right,
right? At least now you know the risk and you can mitigate it maybe in another way. But what's not okay, and it's never been okay, is to be ignorant and
right.
just not know,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
And we're talking personal, but it came up with one of my VCSOs that we were talking about one of their risks, and he's like, "This just isn't feasible for us in our business model. It's not possible." And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Well, we've identified a risk. You said as security, we don't want to be the impediment, so
Right,
we're going to accept that risk. But what's important is you're aware of it and you've made a decision about it."
right. Did you hear my dog barking?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my ringtone because I have multi-factor authentication turned on to my S2me, and I figured while we're here
Mm.
in this talk, I'll log in my S2me because I also don't like to be a hypocrite, so I'm not going to push something on a whole bunch of other people if, I'm not doing it myself.
Yeah.
So I have taken the S2me, and for, listeners who want to know where to go, it's https://s2me.io. That's where you go. And what you'll see is just an explanation of what S2Me is. And there's no catch. I think the thing that sucks in our industry is all the companies who operate in our industry where there's a
Mm.
catch. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's free, but, we're going to catch you on the back end or we're going to market to you or God knows what else we're going to do. Here, there's no catch. It's free. So when you create your account, and if you don't believe us, use a fake account.
Right.
We even give you instructions on how to use 5-minute email to create your account, and we don't need to know anything about you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it, it really is intended to help people.
Right. So we're trying, and we even remove every barrier we can think of to get you to take responsibility for your own, information security. So when you log into the S2Me, it's really an assessment to
Hmm.
start, right? It's a whole bunch of questions. There are 10 categories uh, to walk through in doing the assessment, ranging from household computers to breach and incident response. So, and that's one of the most common ones is an incident response plan for home. Am I supposed to have one of those?
You know what's
Probably,
funny?
yeah. What's that?
It's funny. So my score overall I'm very happy with, but that is the lowest, my lowest category. It's like, really?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of common it's common for everybody, right? Because I think a couple of things play into that. One is we never think it's going to happen to us, that's some majority. And then there's others who, like me and you, like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, I know exactly what I would do if there's an incident. I don't need to write it down. But the
Right.
problem is, I know, but does my wife know? Do my kids know?
Yeah. Kids. Yeah, exactly. If we're on a plane somewhere and unavailable,
Right.
do they know what to do?
Or if they're, yeah, or if they're, we could be even in the room next door, and we may not have the technical, monitoring in place, and they might do something, see something, run into something, and not feel comfortable sharing what they might have done or seen. And so if you have an incident response plan, or if you help them, instruct them, teach them what to do when they see those things and find those plans also can work, directly for them if they know they have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure my wife has done the S2me. I don't know what her score is, but uh, very proud of her and my oldest, both being cyber aware. My oldest was like, "Hey, my friend recommended this and to download like shows and stuff," and I was like, "I wouldn't use that." And she's like, "Oh, okay. What should I use?" I'm like, "Well, depending on what are you trying to do?" But I was so proud of her for asking. And then um, my wife, somebody had posted on Facebook, shocking, that they were getting ready for a 10-day vacation, leaving for 10-day vacation without kids. Like, why would you? No, she was like, why would you post this?
Right.
No, wait to let everybody know you're going to be gone.
Yep. Come stop by my house.
Right. So I was proud of both of them for getting that.
That's cool, man. Well, in the we've seen the S2me today is the state of North Dakota deployed it to their customers or their citizens. We have numerous companies that are using S2me deployed to their citizens or not citizens. I'm getting all the citizens and employees things mixed up, but to all their employees as an employee benefit, right? When you do the
Yep.
S2me, nobody else sees the information that you enter in. Even your employer, if your employer gives you the link, they might be able to see potentially a trends, anonymized data, metadata. And we do that because some companies want to use the information that people are doing at home to try to help,
Yeah.
right?
So funny you mentioned that. We're going to be sending out. We just discussed this in our last infosec meeting for our annual training coming up. We're going to send out the S2Me and then customize our training around the results.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and for us at the maintainers, at Security Studio, we definitely want people's input and feedback. So from people who maybe there are things in the assessment that people don't understand. Maybe there are things that we've missed. Maybe we can make the experience more visually appealing. Whatever. So we encourage anybody who's going out to take the S2Me to reach out to Security Studio and tell us what you like and what you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You say that
and
all
I
the
mean
time, and
even
nobody does it.
even as simple as rewording a question so it's clearer, or right. It, so
Yeah. Yeah, so S2Me, so two uses for it. One is S2Me as just an individual. Anybody can go out anytime. It doesn't matter. You don't need an invitation. Just go to s2me.io and go nuts. Once
yeah,
you've done it, if you feel like you got benefit and value out of it, share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it with your neighbors, right? Because they're also at risk. I mean, everybody's at risk, right? I mean, I've got my score, and so I think where my most significant risks are, and I'll either accept those or work around them, or maybe I'll mitigate them. Maybe I'll put a control in place and change some behaviors. I don't know. Uh, that's one way to use it is as an individual. The other way is as a company, as an organization. Like we're seeing more and more organizations deploy this to their employees, their customers. We have a pretty good sized bank that's deployed it to their customers as a customer benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And what you see from the organization, like I said, is just a portal that shows you essentially this is how many people have taken it. And you don't even get that data until there's enough data so that you
Right.
can't, one person has taken it. It's like, well, I gave it to that one person, so I know who that is. No, we accounted for that. So you don't start to see data until 7, 8, 9, 10. It kind of depends. People have started, to populate the tool for your company. And then what you see is how people scored in aggregate in each of the 10 categories. And then you also see aggregate or cumulative answers. So 100 people took the S2me and 75 of them answered false here.
Right.
So that's good information for your training awareness, like you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've got.
One of the things.
Oh, God.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah. No, we're working with. I'm working with several companies, and one of them is going to use it for executive training. Right. Send it to the executives and have them do it, and then because you can have different codes too within your
Yep.
S2 teams. So they have enough in the executive, kind of management and up level that it would be enough to show results. But yeah, let's focus on that group, and then let's focus on you know whoever. But like that's a really good.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, let's do that.
Right. Excuse me. Well, and so the people who have, I mean, the theory is, and it's true, logic anyway, is the people who have the most to lose are also the people who have the most to gain, right? So if I've got, high income, high net worth individuals, obviously they have more money to protect. People with kids, you have more
Hmm.
to protect versus maybe a single person. So it does seem to resonate more with those, I think, families more and high net worth folks. But it really is meant for everybody.
Yeah.
Across the spectrum, right? Information security doesn't give two craps about your financial status,
No.
the color of your skin, your up. I mean, it's for everybody.
Well,
So
and
so
it's
the
not overwhelming to do. I mean, maybe a half hour,
no.
right? It didn't.
If you're super
I was gonna say
slow,
it took me
yeah.
about 15 minutes, but that's a little different because we live and breathe this stuff.
Well, and that's the thing too. If let's say it did take you a half an hour, it took you in half an hour one time,
Right.
right? Now the way information security works is the better I know myself, the better I can protect myself, right? So even if I don't know the answer to some of these questions and I have to go find out, what a great exercise, right? You're like finding out stuff
Right.
about you.
I mean,
So yeah,
how is
you
it
want
any
to do that.
different, from how many people do like the Clifton, the strength finders, or any of those types of things? No different.
Yeah,
It's, you know,
right, right. Well, and all the questions, so I'll walk through it just briefly. I'm not going to tell you what my S2me score is, but I'm just betting it's better than
mm,
yours. Not
oh, I
yours,
was gonna say,
Brad, but yours, the list. No, I know you well enough. I know I can guess what your score would be about. So I'm not going to compete against you. All right, so the 10 categories start off with household computers. That's category number one. Category number two, safe practices for internet
Mhm.
usage. Category number three, authentication. Category number four, securing mobile devices. Category five, securing Wi-Fi. Category six, securing the gateway. Category 7, backing up data. Category 8, IoT and other devices. Category 9, physical security. And Category 10, the last, breach and incident response. Those are your categories.
Yeah.
When you do the assessment, you get scores for each one of those categories, and at the end, you get this link essentially to a full report that shows you how you scored in each one of the categories. There's also some demographics. People, just in general, it's a human thing, so I'm not ripping on it, but there's the herd mentality. So where do I score in my age group? My score versus the average score. And then where do I score by location? So people, in my zip code, how do I score? Those are the two primary demographics. We try not to get too much more granular.
That's fair.
And then you get a nice graph that shows you across, each one of the categories, how you scored. Everything is scored on a 300 to 850. So if you equated that to your credit score, this is your cyber score.
I'm looking at the average score for this for our age group, and I think the some of us have skewed that because that's way higher than I would expect.
Well, and I think people still have this condition where they answer questions the way they'd like to see themselves versus the way they really are. And we haven't fully accounted for that yet. I think, we'd have to get deep into it a little bit more.
Yeah, you almost have to eventually ask questions that contradict each other if they answer it certain ways.
Yeah, which then just makes the assessment longer too. So, because that is the number one complaint, if there was a thing, for S2me is, well, it's too long. It's like, well, 15 minutes for your own life, man. I mean, I don't know. You're not giving me 15 minutes. We're giving you 15 minutes for you. So ideally, it'd be hours long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And take 15 minutes and find those guys. It's always cheaper to be proactive than reactive with this stuff, right? I mean, what's gonna happen if you're, have bank fraud and your account gets drained, and how much time and effort and stress are you gonna have trying to get that whole mess cleaned up versus, oh, gosh, I don't have multi-factor on that. I probably should.
Right. Yeah. There's the headache, and these things do have a spillover. And I think in a future version of S2me, we will focus a little bit more on safety, the safety side of things, because for me, being a father, and I think for you as well, I can deal with you hacking my bank account. I can deal with you stealing my identity. I can deal with those things. What I can't deal with is you stealing my daughter's innocence.
Yep.
That might get you killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then what do I have to deal with? But that's the reality we live in. We go about our days and we don't recognize the risks that are all around us. We seem like we've lost situational awareness. People are, heads down, phone like this all the time, and then something happens. I mean, you would have back up like 10 years, not even that. It would be ludicrous to invite bad people from all over the world into your daughter's bedroom.
Right. Yeah.
Come on, hang out. Yeah, watch videos, enjoy each other, and whatever. No.
Right.
No. Stay out of my daughter's bedroom.
Well, and there's studies that are showing that social media is negatively affecting mental health of teenage girls, right? We've talked about that before. Well, I think that plays right in line with the security awareness. What are they doing? Do you know what they're doing? You know, if you don't understand it, how can you help them?
Right, right. Well, and for some reason we seem to treat these things like they're separate issues. Like information security is different somehow from physical security, and that's different somehow from privacy, and that's different somehow from safety. And the truth is, none of them, they're all integrated. You can't separate them.
No.
There's not like an intersection or a crossroads or nothing like it is integrated. They have become one.
Right.
And we did this as a society, and it is reality. So if a bad password can lead to the death of somebody,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Probably not really common, but it'll become more and more
Well,
common. We just had the
yeah, I
baby.
was gonna say that was the first. What was that? 2019. So,
Yeah, and now it filed suit.
and then yeah, so that's now two that we're aware of that have died due to ransomware.
When I what I don't get is the lack of logic when you think about these things. Like, and I've been using this quite a bit lately. They're in the best development shops. There are what, maybe 10 to 12 errors per thousand lines of code.
Right.
How many lines of code are there in? How many lines of code in the latest Tesla?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Isn't Windows like millions, like tens of millions, something like that?
Yeah, Chris Roberts gave me a number, and I'm not sure. I haven't validated it, but he said 500 million lines of code.
Yeah, I mean
So
it's insane.
so do the math, and you'll come up with, okay, that's how many errors there are in the software that is driving your car for you.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Let's do it. Maybe, maybe
So
not.
here
I mean, Tesla, I assume.
I just pulled it up.
Oh, you gotta.
10 million line or 50 million lines of code in Windows 10. Google is 2 billion lines of code. Facebook 62 million lines. I'm trying to look and see if there's any other.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, the reason why you don't hear about a lot of these things, so the reason why you don't hear about Google breaches very often, or Facebook, maybe you do, uh, is because they don't disclose them.
Oh, for sure.
Like, but there's a law that says they have
Right.
to. But there's a law that says they have to. Yeah, tell it to Google again. See what they say. I mean, it's like, oh boy. All right, anyway, back to the point. This is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and it is your responsibility to secure yourself and your family. It is not Google's responsibility. It's not Facebook's responsibility. It's not my responsibility. It's not your ISP's responsibility. It's not your neighbor's responsibility. It's not your community's responsibility. It is your responsibility. So I'm here to help,
Yeah.
right? To give you tools.
Yeah.
Brad, you're here to help. Many of us are. There are many of us in the community that want to just help you do better at this in a way that also isn't condemning, right? Nobody sees your S2me results. You may score a 300. So be it.
Oh yeah.
Work on it, right? Ask some questions. I saw this thing on this assessment that I took, and I wasn't quite sure what I should do to fix it. Ask those types of questions. Nobody
Right.
needs to know your score,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. It.
And actually nobody can, minus like some kind of government subpoena thing. But if you're doing crazy stuff like that, then you probably, who cares about your score? You're going to jail probably.
Yeah, that's probably not your biggest concern at that point. But I mean, to your
Yeah.
point though, we had one of the kids that I'd coached in soccer. The mom reached out and was, because she knew I'd worked with computers, didn't know exactly what, but was like, "Can I hire you to help me?" I'm like, "No, no, I'll help you. I'm not taking money from a friend to help them do
Right.
some pretty basic, well, for me, basic things. Obviously, you know, I was talking to a school district yesterday, and I was like explaining the normal, because I said we do a good job of explaining this to normal people and translating security, because he had said, like, I'm sure you could talk about this all day, but I tune out pretty quick. And I was like, yeah, I get it, and so I'll explain normal, right? And there's over, what, 320 million people in the U.S. and 800,000 security professionals. We're not the majority. We're not normal. So how do we be effective to translate what we know, what we live and breathe, to everybody? Because it is a skill that it doesn't matter what you do for a living. This is something, if you have internet, which, a phone, anything like that, it affects you. You have to have these skills,
Well, that's it too. I mean, they're life.
or at least awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these are life skills, and no matter how much I want to take responsibility, I can't take responsibility for other people, right? I'm responsible for
Right.
my family, my home, the car I drive, my actions. That's what I can be responsible for. I can't be responsible for somebody else's. You want them to make better decisions, just like you want your kids to make better decisions, or just like you want your friends to make better decisions. And when you see them make poor decisions or risky decisions, you're like, I wish I could help, because that will come back to bite.
Yeah. I wish. Yeah. I wish you would have asked.
Right.
You're not sure? Ask.
Well, and I think a lot of people are like, well, I've been fine so far, so why would I care now? Hmm, yeah, maybe
Oh.
in some respects, but there will come a day. That's the logic, right? That's where this heads. It heads to a point where it does crumble, and you're going to be caught up in it. Because
Mm-hmm.
if your house, I mean, if you've got a smart house, some of the smart houses now have like everything connected to the internet. Their HVAC systems, fire suppression systems, lights, I mean, electrical system, everything. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, what could you do with that
Right.
house if I wanted to?
Well, yeah. I mean, we bought a new garage door opener, and it came with, hey, you can control it over the internet. No, no, I don't think I want to have my garage door be able to, granted, the risk is very low, right? But still, it's like, what is the benefit to me of having that? I've got a keypad and I've got the remote. Do I need to open the garage from work? No.
Right. Well, and even if, and I don't fault people who do, like, you've got more gadgets probably than I do. Like Chris Roberts, my buddy's got a hell of a lot more gadgets than I do. But I think he knows how to use them responsibly, right? He understands how the technology works. He understands how
Right.
to secure them. He accepts risks and things like that. And then you've got people like me who I just don't want the headache anymore. I'm kind of grown tired of all the gadgets and making sure everything's patched, making sure, I mean, I'm not, I don't get enjoyment out of it like I used to anymore. And then you have people, all about in between, right? People who just plug stuff in,
Mm-hmm.
who are irresponsible with their technology use. Those are the most dangerous of us
Right.
all, right?
Right. Well,
Oh, you mean I can control my garage from work? I can't wait to tell my buddies. It's like, okay,
well, like when we moved in, we got new washer and dryer, and we were looking, and Katie was like, "Ooh, this one has Wi-Fi." I was like, "What are you gonna do if you're at work? Does it move the stuff from the washer to the dryer via Wi-Fi? Like, what?" She's like, "Okay, fine," but I mean, what's the? I don't see the upside.
No.
It's not like you're there doing it.
Well, and some people may like, well, I want the reminder, or I want to know when my washing machine is done washing. It's like, if you need reminders of stuff like that, maybe your life has become a little too complex. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah. Keep it
what are you
simple.
busy doing all the time with everything else that you can't remember that you put clothes in the wash?
I don't think I've ever forgotten that I had clothes in the wash. Now, have I ignored them in the dryer? Oh, definitely. But I
Yeah.
knew they were there. It's like, I'm like,
Then you
wait,
got to
what
run
happened to all my
that cycle
clothes?
again then you got to run that cycle again to get the wrinkles out.
Yep.
I've done that way too many
throw
times. It's like, damn
throw a
it.
damp washcloth in there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I knew they were there. I've never forgotten, that. Or dishwasher. I've, the dishes aren't in the sink on the counter or in the cabinet. Where could they be? Oh, that's right. I have a dishwasher. I wish it would have reminded me. No, come on.
Yeah. Had I been reminded at work that I had dishes in the dishwasher,
I would have forgotten by the time I got home.
right? Exactly. Yeah. Well, in the like at home in our house, our dishwasher, we have a nice dishwasher. It's not a smart dishwasher. I don't want any
No.
smart stuff in my house. I just don't, and that's just my preference. The uh, the smart stuff that I do have is on a. It's not even hooked up to the internet. I mean, the stuff that I play with.
Yeah.
I may open it every once in a while or something like that. But I actually now I have actually two ISPs because
Hmm.
I really wanted to keep things separate. So I have who is my ISP in that one? Uh, shoot, the big why can't I remember their name? Hmm,
Isn't it? I,
telco. It's a
it's like
telco.
Charter and
CenturyLink.
Xfinity. CenturyLink. Okay,
Yeah, so I have
that's what it was.
CenturyLink on one, and then I have Verizon on the
Yeah.
other. So I usually do my messing around on the Verizon one. Uh, yeah, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't like either company all that much, but I guess I don't like Verizon more than I don't like CenturyLink, maybe.
well, like now you can't not buy a TV that is Wi-Fi and all that. So when we bought a TV, it came with Wi-Fi connectivity, and I was like, no, I don't think
Right.
I'm going to do that. Now I did connect it to do a firmware update that it needed, and then I removed
Mhm.
the internet. I reset the internet. It's not on there.
Right.
I
One and at home we have a smart TV that my wife likes to watch, Netflix and things like that. But you can firewall Netflix. You
yeah
know what I mean? So I can limit it to certain types of traffic as well. But like you said, if you're not using any of those features, turn them off.
yeah yeah yeah. We were having a specific issue, and I looked it up, and it was like, oh, check this, and it was whatever version. I was like, oh, yep, okay, and so up, set it up and let it do its upgrade, and then removed all internet.
Yeah. All right. So back to the S2me. I do highly encourage if you are, a cyber expert or whatever, um, even you, go out and do the S2me. Help us to make it a better tool. Like I said, it's free. Consider it a community tool, right? It's for everybody to use. If you think there are areas where we can make it more appealing, like I said, let us know. I think it's thorough enough to get the basics for most people
Well,
at home.
if nothing else, like I said, what's so great about it, and I said this, my wife makes fun of me, but you doing the security, like when you get into this and really start looking at it and doing those types of things, it does change how you see things. And she's like, "Yeah, thanks. You've
Mhm.
ruined it for me because now I think that way." I'm like, good, but it does it
She took the red
right,
pill.
but it does change how you you know behave and what you do.
Right. And I think if anything, to be completely honest, because I think sometimes we think like security gets in the way, and it's the no stuff, and like I'm going to miss out. This fear of missing out is such a crock of crap. Your quality of life, once you understand, I mean, your quality of life, knowing how these things work and how these things operate, and knowing being responsible, is actually improved significantly
Oh
from
yeah.
just willy-nilly chaotic doing crap, right?
Oh, 100%. And by change, I mean it's a positive change, right? You're aware. That you talked about situational awareness. You're aware of things. You're looking at things differently and going, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't plug my TV in, right?
Right.
I'm not using any of
Well,
the apps on it.
yeah, and there's nobody looking over your shoulder, right? There's nobody looking over your shoulder judging you for scoring a 300 on mobile computing. Nobody's going to judge you for that.
Oh,
But now you can make good risk decisions. Maybe you're not comfortable with the 300. Maybe you're not comfortable with some of these risks that you didn't know about previously. Well, here's some ways you can make it better. It's
yeah.
empowering as opposed to belittling. I mean, there's plenty of that in our industry.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Uh,
Yeah, no
and at
talking
the end
down
of
to
the day,
people.
no. And again, it's nobody else is going to do this for you. So
Right.
you have no excuses for not being responsible yourself. If something comes and smacks you upside the head and something bad happens, it is on you.
Right.
I'm not the kind of person that's going to rub it in your face and not help you to try to get out of it. That's not the way we operate either. But you've been warned. I
Right.
have no other way to. I can't sugarcoat this for you.
Well, and
I
you
just
know,
can't.
I have the S2me up over on my other screen, and the other thing that you've got on there that I forgot about is threat monitoring, right?
Hmm.
So it's going to be looking at these um, data dumps for you know your your email address, and you can add multiple.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah. I'm
oh,
trying to remember what my email address was in my account.
I did have a compromise, part of compromise in July of 18 for Apollo, which is database containing billions of data points publicly exposed without a password. It was just basically,
Never.
yeah, business email address, employer, job title, those types of things. So, yeah, okay, good to know. Probably not the end of the world, but there you go.
Right. Yeah, no, my threat monitoring, I forgot what email account I used. I actually have nothing because it's one of my accounts I don't use for anything else, really. So that's good. Uh, but even then, right, if it's sad that we live in such a shortcut, easy button, instant gratification sort of world where you can't take 15 minutes. Some people can't take 15 minutes to learn how to protect themselves. The truth is, this is I mean, it's a skill that has to be learned at some point, or you just get left behind. So if you had any fear of missing out, have a fear of missing out on how to protect
Hmm.
yourself,
Yeah.
right? Other people are protecting themselves. If my whole neighborhood, everybody in my neighborhood took security seriously, and I'm the one who didn't, who do you think's the most likely to get smacked?
Oh, there. Yeah, bad guys are going to always take the path of least resistance. Like, let's just
Right.
make sure we're not, you know,
So
cold from the herd. We're not lagging behind.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So anyway, that's our contribution to, and you'll see some stuff coming out from both companies, FRSecure and Security Studio, about this month about cyber awareness. It kind of, I like the reason why we do the month of cyber security awareness, but truly it doesn't start or end in
No.
October. This is something it is a life skill. It has to play with you as part of you for the rest of your life, right? Because that's the world we live in, right? These are life skills.
Yep.
But that's that. News stuff. What do you think? What do you got? I don't really have anything other than the whole Facebook debacle, and I don't feel like talking
No,
about that right
there's
now.
too much unknown too.
Do you?
Still,
Right. Well, and everybody's speculating. They got the inside scoop on it. We just know that Facebook, for some reason, maybe an insider, probably an insider, uh, Facebook just disappeared off the internet
yeah.
for a
And
while.
I saw New York Times was reporting that employees were saying the badge system wasn't working, they couldn't get in. So
They use the same
who knows?
domains for that. They use the same domains.
Probably it's all on one network. Their badge readers didn't know how to find the.
Right. So, and for the people out there, this is the same company who's leading the charge in AI. So,
Yeah, and they got that
yay for
whistleblower testifying today in front of Congress.
so you can't keep your company online with a technology that's been around since the 70s. Yet you're going to give us artificial intelligence that's going to drive our cars.
Right. No,
No.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'll stick with a '69 Chevelle or something. That'd be nice.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's a mess.
All right, man. Any shout outs this week? And
Uh,
this is,
so,
oh, wait, let me say
oh,
one more thing real quick. One more thing. This is the first time we've recorded on this platform. This is Riverside. Uh, and this is the first time, and we totally winged this podcast today. So
mhm.
we didn't have a script. We didn't have any topics that we were going to talk about. We got online and we're like, all right, let's go. And um, our marketing team, we're transitioning this podcast, the Unsecurity podcast, to the FRSecure marketing team. So what we'll see in the future is better use of this platform,
Mhm.
which will be nice. I think it'll be higher quality. And two, you'll see a more scripted show. We'll still have the banter back and forth, the kind of going off script kind of stuff. But I think you'll get more value as a listener because we'll stay focused on something that you can take away.
Yeah, they're gonna give us suggestions of, hey, here's what we're hearing from a marketing perspective. Because yeah, you and I have a different view. We're heads down in this stuff, not necessarily aware of maybe what some of that marketing needs, what people are searching for.
Yeah. And ultimately, I mean, you and I both want to serve people, right? So give people what they want.
Yep, for sure. Um, yeah, so shout out. Well, a little bit off, not to anyone in particular, just yeah, thing. Tomorrow is World Cerebral Palsy Day, so that's a big day for us, obviously. So we'll be wearing our green shirts
Awesome.
to support that.
Very cool, man. Very cool. That's a good it's a good cause to remember. I think I have a green shirt. I'll wear a green shirt. Now I know why I would be wearing a
There you
green
go.
shirt. So, I appreciate. Yep. I'm gonna give a shout out to I don't know, man. It's kind of generic. It's just all the people that bust their tails all the time that you never even hear of. You know what I mean? It just feels like I get to do what I do because the other people are doing what they do. And they do it well. Without them, I can't do what I do, and it's just such a team effort. So there's a lot of people that sit behind a keyboard all day long, dealing with God knows what, and try not to forget about them today. So that's my shout
I
out.
like it.
All right, well that's the end of the show, yeah. Or did you give a shout out? You didn't give a shout out, did you?
Yeah, I just the World CP.
Okay, got it. All right, well that about does it. We'll see you all next week. That'll be episode. Was this episode 150? No, next one will be
149.
Next one will be 150. I can't even count that high. I need a
I
computer
know.
for that. I need a
Well, I
computer.
can't believe it's. I was gonna say I can't believe it's been almost 3 years of this.
I know, man. It's been a lot of fun, though. I don't know how you would take little bits and pieces, just memorable moments throughout, because we've done this podcast from all over the world, and just weird places, just weird, not weird people. Well, everybody's weird, really. Anything that's not normal is kind of weird. But just great conversations, great guests. It's been nuts, man.
Hmm. Yep.
All right. Well, have a good one. Uh, take care.